So far, Mr. Factor has talked about two different students, and he saw someone in a black shirt and then someone with a lunchbox that wound up being in locker 250. So we know that the black shirt doesn't have the lunchbox, and the black shirt doesn't have locker 250, which we already have there. Okay, now he goes on. And he says, toward the end of lunch, I saw Liu. She was opening the locker whose Roman numeral representation had the largest number of characters. She was not one of the students I saw earlier. Well, if we look over here, the largest number of Roman numeral characters belongs to locker 249. So we're going to put an O for Liu and 249. And we'll put X's in the rest of that row and the rest of that column. Okay. And she was not one of the students I saw earlier, so that means she's not the black shirt and she's not the lunchbox. So we know she doesn't have a lunchbox and she doesn't have a black shirt. Okay. And a completely different student in sneakers put something in the locker whose number has the prime factorization of 2 times 3 times 5 squared. That's 6 times 25, which is 150. So someone in sneakers put something in the locker that was 150. So we go to 150 and we go to sneakers and we put an O there and X's in the rest of that column and X's in the rest of that row. And because it's a completely different student, we know it's not Liu, and we know it's not the person with the black shirt, and we know it's not the lunchbox, which we already figured out. So that was the book. Okay. And so then Bella starts gnawing on her tail, and she wants to go see the custodian. And he says, the person wearing a green shirt wasn't wearing sandals. So we go to green shirt, and they weren't wearing sandals. So we're going to put an X here. And the student with the red shirt wasn't carrying a book. So we go to red shirt, and they were not carrying a book, so we put an X there. Liu wasn't wearing flip-flops, so we go over to Liu, and she wasn't wearing flip-flops. And Brad wasn't wearing a blue shirt. And we go to Brad, and he wasn't wearing a blue shirt. And the kid in the gold shirt definitely wasn't wearing heels or rubber boots. So we go to the gold shirt, and he wasn't wearing heels or rubber boots. So put 2 X's there. And then he says to go see the gardener. She says, someone wearing cowboy boots, but they didn't have a ball or a book. So we know that the person in the cowboy boots, which we'll go over to cowboy boots, did not have a ball or a book. So we're going to put X's in the ball and the book. Dwayne was wearing sandals, but didn't have a blue shirt. So Dwayne had sandals, so we'll put an O there, but not a blue shirt. So we'll put an X there. And now we're going to go back here and put X's in the rest of that row and X's in the rest of that column. Emma wasn't wearing gold and wasn't wearing flip-flops. So Emma was not wearing flip-flops and she was not wearing gold. Now that I think of it, I do remember a student in heels. She was making so much noise. So we know the heels was a girl. So then it can't be Sanjay and it can't be Brad. So it has to be either Gina, Lou, or Emma. The person in cowboy boots was also really noisy. And neither of those two were wearing red or green shirts. So we know the cowboy boots did not have red or green, and heels did not have red or green shirts. Also, 2 boys were at the lockers in the middle stack. So we already know the middle stack is the locker 150 and 250. And so we'll go over here, and they had to be boys. So the 2 boys, so it wasn't Gina, and it wasn't Emma in 150, and 250, we already knew that, so we leave that alone. And I saw a girl in a green shirt stuffing a coat into a locker. So a girl had a green shirt, and she had a coat. She was stuffing a coat into a locker. So it was a girl. So it's not Dwayne, not Sanjay, not Brad. And the person had a green shirt. So we'll put an O there and X's in the rest of that row and X's in the rest of that column. And that tells us that the green shirt is a girl. So let's go over to green and say it wasn't one of the boys. Okay. And she finally says, a girl who wasn't wearing a gold shirt was carrying a hat. So we go to the hat, and again, it was a girl. So it's not Dwayne, not Sanjay, not Brad. And the girl that was wearing the hat wasn't wearing a gold shirt. So we'll go to gold shirt, and we're going to put an X there. And a person in a brown shirt didn't have a lunchbox. So now we go to brown shirt, and brown shirt does not have a lunchbox. And so they're a little nervous. There's still a lot of unknowns. So she runs over to see Mrs. Power one more time. And Mrs. Power says, someone in a blue shirt was at the opening the locker where the sign of the locker number would equal 1/2. Now the sign is something from Trig, and you can you have a little button on your calculator that takes the sign, in case you don't know this. And if you put sine of 149 and sine of 150 and sine of 151 and so on in your calculator, you will see that sine of 150 is equal to 1/2. So that's something you'll learn in trigonometry if you don't know that already. So someone in a blue shirt opened the locker that was 150. So blue shirt then is the 150 locker, so we're going to put an O there. Okay, so we know that. And a girl in a black shirt who wasn't wearing heels. Okay, so let's see, we have a black shirt, and it's a girl, so it's not Dwayne, and it's not Sanjay, and it's not Brad. And the black shirt wasn't wearing heels, so we know that's not here. Yelled something at the person in brown with the ball. So the ball then was being carried by the person in the brown shirt. So we'll put X's in the rest of that row and X's in the rest of that column. And then we try to figure it out from here.